It's basically about the issue of clothing, because the prime target is that you talk about three basic needs. You say food, cloth, and shelter, and then you ignore the clothing part, and you remember that people need clothing only at the time of a disaster. But what we need to understand is that half the world actually does not need a disaster. It's already in that state. And to be honest, you maintain figures of people dying because of earthquake, because of floods, and because of all kind of natural or man-made disaster. You never count people. You never do any kind of calculations or tabulations for the people who die because of winters, because of extreme weather, extreme cold. Although what I have seen in India, that although there is no research on this, there is no documentation on this, but since a large number of people who die or suffer in winters, instead of an earthquake or flood, which are the known disasters. An accumulation of many years, especially on the subject where it started attracting you that why people lack clothes. Why people don't solve it. Why is this the case that a village has to go through a flood or an earthquake to receive the clothes? Then only the urban communities start thinking of the villages. Why urban people only give it to their maids or driver? These are their outer limits. Why don't someone think of people who are living much away from you? So that's how all this started on a very, very small scale.
Okay.
In 98, just with 67 clothes. So unfortunately, you open up yourself to a larger audience, and you give a right to people to doubt on your own integrity. Every single person comes and start doubting on you. Oh, so you have also started, as if every single person is doing something to make money, as if the money is the only thing on this earth. I always tell people that this is all about passion. Your passion might be to have 4 cars and 3 bungalows. My passion might be to provide clothes to people. It's all about passion. Sometimes you see that you are not paying attention to your own family. I have a daughter, and sometimes you feel that that means I don't even know her subjects. Except the class, and I don't even know the class teacher, because I hardly get time to do that. Fortunately, my wife has been the backbone of the entire effort, and she really took care of all these things.
Okay.
Also, sometimes financially you feel bad for yourself, because things are growing. People have different kind of aspirations. Even if your family is not demanding, sometimes you do feel that you come from an okay family and you should lead an okay, good life, and you lack certain things because that's not the mission of your life now. You think in a different direction. But as such, I don't call anything a sacrifice, except not giving time to the people who needs my time. If you talk about my family, I lost my father a few years back all of a sudden, my mother, my brother, sister, my close friends. I think you ignore the closest people when you open up yourself to a larger audience. That's something which I do feel.
Okay. Then.
Or I almost gave up my passion of photography. I was very passionate about it, but then I found myself, instead of taking creative photographs, documenting something. So that the mode is changed. I still have SLR camera in my hand, but the mode is changed. Large number of people we've been able to motivate to think about this as a subject. We've been able to motivate lots and lots of people to work on it now. Even the organizations have started replicating, copying, whatever. But the fact remains that people have started understanding the issue of clothing, that in the crowd of so many subjects, there is something which has been absolutely ignored, and that is called clothing. The first visible sign of poverty is clothing. And I'm sure that the day will come when, I always say that 150 issues from domestic violence to global warming, and clothing does not list there. I'm 100% sure that people will start listing it. And the moment you list it, many more organizations, many more individuals will come to work on it. And that's how, the problem can be solved a bit, because the problem is so large across the globe. Goonj has to grow as an idea. I do not look forward, and I never say that Goonj has to grow as an organization. It has to grow as an idea where people start copying, replicating it, and start learning from us and start telling us more about the issue. But it has to spread on a global level, wherever, in whatever country, whichever country you have a need, and every country has a need of it. The only difference is the proportion. In certain countries, 10% people can give, 90% people need it. In certain countries, 80% people can give it, and 20%. It's a matter of proportion. So let's fill up the gaps. We do it in our own country, own region, and then whenever there is a gap area, some other countries actually, fill up that gap. So it needs to develop as a global phenomena at one point of time. Spread the word, start small, maybe with yourself and a few friends. Collection will never be a problem. Logistics are going to be a nightmare. And the distribution or reaching out to people is the biggest target. So work on these things parallel. Somewhere the most important thing is that they start understanding that this is a subject. It is not enough to call it one of the basic need out of food, cloth and shelter, but also to treat this as an important issue, as a subject to work on. And it is not only distribution of clothes, but there are hundreds of things related to this. So until unless people understand that, it will not happen.